Indiana Dunes National Park protects more than just the eponymous sand dunes. It also protects a unique ecosystem called a bog, a ratland type of wetland in which dead plant material, usually sphagnum moss, accumulates over time to create a very dense type of soil called peat. Like all wetland habitats, bogs are full of biodiversity. They're home to aquatic mammals and waterfowl. Migrating birds use them as a pit stop on their long journeys, and amphibians use the stagnant water to lay their eggs. But they do important work for humans as well by acting as a carbon sink. All those mosses and grasses take in carbon dioxide when they perform photosynthesis, which then gets locked in their tissues. As those plants die and decay, that carbon then gets stored in the ground, rather than the atmosphere. Sadly, the 20th century wasn't very kind to the bogs of northern Indiana. Several hundred acres of this wetland was drained so the land was dry enough for factories to be built. The pines were all cut down for their timber, and the grasses were harvested for cattle to eat. The wetlands that did remain got overrun by invasive species. Heck, this bog that we're currently standing in, Pinhook Bog, used to be a blueberry farm back in the 1930s. So what happened? Like, this looks great now. There's so much biodiversity here. How do you restore a bog back to its former glory? Okay, so quick wetlands PSA. Previously, we were at a bog, but for the rest of this video, we will be in what is technically a fen. What's the difference? Well, in a bog, there's just water at the surface, and that water tends to be really acidic and poor in nutrients. In a fen, there is water exchange between what we see here at the surface and below at the water table. Both wetlands are really important and they need to be protected and restored, but there are slight differences between bogs and fens that we wanted you to be aware of. Plus, we didn't want to be offensive, right? Okay, let's get back to science. LL Cool J once said, "Don't call to come back." And on this show, we listen to LL Cool J when he shares his wisdom. So we will not call it a comeback, we will call this habitat restoration. And to teach us a little bit how habitat restoration works and the nitty gritty of what goes into restoring a wetland habitat like this is Jacob Karkowski from Wisconsin Conservation Corps. He's part of the Dunes crew, and he does all the work helping to restore this habitat. So, Jacob, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
So, what's the first step when you're restoring a wetland like this?
We work with the National Park Service. They have us come out here, and they have us either spray. So we have all the cattail here, all the invasives we have out here that we kind of deal with. They'll give us plants to plant, and so we work with different plants, stuff like that. And sometimes there'll be some seed collecting. It all depends on kind of what needs to get done and the process that the National Park Service kind of works with us to get done. But a big thing that we end up relying on is herbicide. And so we'll come out and kind of go to an area that we want to work on restoring, and we'll spray herbicide. Our biggest threat right here is this hybrid cattail species, which is...
Those cattails right there?
Those cattails right there. It's a mix of the previously native and a European species, and they create this species that takes over the entire wetland. And you can see we've already started working on some of these with the Brown. National Park Service has come out here a ton, and they put a lot of work into helping to restore and get rid of those.
So you come in, you spray the invasives, these cattails that kind of push everybody else out. Once those invasive species are gone, what do you guys do then?
They will have us go out once an area is cleared, and they'll give us plants to plant, some natives, and they will have us plant and put them into the wetland to kind of give it a chance to have new native species come on in.
What are you guys planting today?
So we're planting Carex stricta, these little guys right here. We have a few others. Some right here you can see some lobelias, native plants that make their home here in the wetlands. But we can use an extra set of hands out here today. There's tons of plants to plant and a big wetland that needs them. So we'd like to have you join us.
Hey man, I'm all hands on deck. Let's go plant some native plants. Well, Jacob, that was great. I mean, it's hard work, but it's got to feel great at the end of the day that you're able to help restore such a beautiful wetland habitat like Cowel's Bog over here.
Of course, we're making a change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not just us, it's everyone. It's the National Park Service working alongside all sorts of people. We have the crew. It's all about working together with everybody to make this possible.
And you can see like the change, like you can see pretty quickly over time. You're planting these you're putting in these plants, they're growing, and you can come back like in a month or two and like see them take over. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, a month or two, and I can come back 2 years from now and see the change that I've made. And this national park's always going to be here. This wetland's always going to be here. And we come out and we see something that we had a part in, something that we can take pride in, that I made a difference, I made a change, and this is that change.
Well, that sounds awesome. Jacob, thank you so much for inviting me out here to help you guys today and for teaching me about the Wisconsin Conservation Corps. This was great. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you for coming out.
Want to learn more about our national parks? Then hit that subscribe button, friend. Stay up to date and catch bonus features by following us on Instagram @OutSCIder.